what is going on in the Congress party is a question a lot of people have been asking for several years. The matters are coming to a head. Either a great purge or catharsis is taking place, which is actually going to rejuvenate this party and give it clear leadership, or it's simply more confusion and chaos. The jury is still out, but a lot of developments have taken place in just the past few days. The decision by the Congress party to approach its UP push for elections coming up in 2.5 years has been to purge a lot of old faces. Now, this can be cathartic, rejuvenating for a party, but a lot of people who wrote that now infamous letter, which was meant to be an internal note but was subsequently leaked mysteriously, are finding themselves at a distance from the Gandhi family. Similarly, in UP, a lot of old stalwarts who feel that much is still due and owed to them have now written, as you might well be aware, asking the Gandhi family not to look at its own future, but the future of the party. The developments nonetheless have happened, and the position taking is taking place as we speak. Amidst all of this, here's a very interesting voice on the broadcast, RPN Singh speaking to my colleague Rajat. Let's listen in and then open up the conversation.
उत्तर प्रदेश में प्रियंका गांधी के नेतृत्व में कांग्रेस पार्टी चुनाव चलेगी। जनरल सेक्रेटरी इंचार्ज है। कई कमेटीज का अनाउंसमेंट हुआ है। हमारे साथ बातचीत करने के लिए कांग्रेस के इंचार्ज आरपीएन सिंह जी मौजूद हैं। सर, कई कमेटीज का अनाउंसमेंट हमने देखा है कल देर रात हुआ है। उसके बाद कंट्रोवर्सीज भी बहुत है कि जो कमेटीज बनाई गई हैं उसमें कई लोगों को नजरअंदाज किया। उसमें आपका भी नाम नहीं है, जितिन प्रसाद का भी नाम नहीं है, शास्त्री परिवार से किसी का नाम नहीं है, राज बब्बर का नाम नहीं है, कई लोगों का नाम उस लिस्ट में नहीं।
नहीं, देखिए, सबसे पहले तो मैं बधाई देता हूं मेरे तमाम साथी जो कई वर्षों तक काम करते आए हैं कांग्रेस के लिए, उस कमेटी में हैं। कमेटी में हर व्यक्ति कमेटी में नहीं हो सकता। हम तो उत्तर प्रदेश में एक महामंत्री जी ने एक एडवाइजरी कमेटी बनाई थी, उस कमेटी में हम ऑलरेडी काम कर रहे हैं और मैं समझ सकता हूँ वो उत्तर प्रदेश में बहुत लगन और मेहनत से काम कर रही है। उनके नेतृत्व में हमको 300 सीटें जीतने का हमने लक्ष्य बना रखा है, तो उनके नेतृत्व में अवश्य जीतेंगे।
लेकिन सर, बात ये भी है, हालांकि आपने विरोध नहीं किया था, लेकिन जिन लोगों ने लेटर्स लिखे थे जो सीडब्ल्यूसी में डिस्कस हुआ था, चाहे वो राज बब्बर हो, जितिन प्रसाद हो, इन लोगों का नाम उसमें नहीं है, तो ये कहा गया कि एक तरीके से पनिशमेंट है, इन लोगों को बाहर रखा गया कमेटी से। देखिए,
ये इस पे मैं कुछ कहना नहीं चाहूँगा क्योंकि कांग्रेस प्रेसिडेंट ने सीडब्ल्यूसी में स्वयं इस पे चर्चा कर ली है। तो जब कांग्रेस अध्यक्षा ने उस पर ऑलरेडी चर्चा कर दी है और बयान दे दिया है, तो मैं उस पर कोई टिप्पणी अवश्य नहीं करूँगा।
सर, एक आखिरी सवाल आपसे। 22 में चुनाव है, अमूमन कांग्रेस पार्टी में 6 महीने पहले, 8 महीने पहले लिस्ट आती है, लेकिन इस बार 2 साल पहले कमेटीज बनाई गई है। इससे क्या मैसेज क्या देना चाहती पार्टी?
बिल्कुल, हम लोग बहुत सीरियस हैं उत्तर प्रदेश के बारे में और उत्तर प्रदेश के बारे में बिल्कुल ज़मीनी स्तर पे काम कर रहे हैं। और जैसे मैंने पहले कहा, प्रियंका जी वहाँ मेहनत कर रही हैं, उनके नेतृत्व में 300 सीट हम अवश्य जीतेंगे।
आप लोगों को लगता नहीं कि आप लोग का भी नाम होता तो एक मोराल हाई होता?
हम तो ऑलरेडी एडवाइजरी कमेटी में हैं। हर कमेटी में हर व्यक्ति का नाम होना, तो इसमें तमाम लोग, जैसे आपने कहा, हर व्यक्ति को राजनीति में मैं ऑलरेडी एक काम झारखंड में कर ही रहा हूँ और एडवाइजरी कमेटी में भी हूँ उत्तर प्रदेश में, तो हर जगह मेरा ही नाम नहीं आना चाहिए, और लोग भी तो हैं, उनको भी मौका मिलना चाहिए।
हमसे बातचीत करने के लिए कैमरामैन पंकज के साथ राकेश टंडन, इंडिया न्यूज़ दिल्ली।
Okay, RPN Singh is playing it down over there, but this is very, very intriguing what is taking place. It could be genius or it could be hubris of the worst sort. Let's open up this conversation. Satish Kumar Singh joining us on the broadcast, Sumit Peer, Sanjay Kapoor, Deshratan Nigam, all on the broadcast with me. Sanjay Kapoor, what do you make of now the latest? Now, is it good to see fresh faces finally, or is it so chaotic that we can't even make a judgment call whether good or bad is happening?
I'm not very sure about the fresh faces within the Congress party. What is very visible is that the leadership of Sonia Gandhi, Rahul and Priyanka have taken the letter of 23 congressmen very to the heart, actually very seriously, and they would go all out to purge if they can. But the major threat that looms over Congress party is that if the party splits at this juncture, because what I learned from my sources that a lot of 23 are determined to ensure that they don't see the leadership of Rahul Gandhi. And they are talking with rump parties like Tamil Manila, this one, Trinamool Congress and the NCP and all those people who have gone away. There's an attempt to get everybody together. Because I think there is recognition that India needs a opposition party which can start getting its act together before 2024 election, or even you have a number of assembly elections that will come up.
Okay, but Sanjay Kapoor, it boils down to the same argument. I remember having this question when, Priyanka Gandhi was berating her own team for not supporting Rahul Gandhi in 2019. That you have one person who's failing at the top. He is of a certain opinion that he is failing because the people below him are ensuring his failure or not doing enough that they could have done. Many, I remember, complaint was that people who've been union ministers themselves don't want to do a ticket because they don't want to go through the hassle of fighting an election because they know they'll lose it. Is that a fair assessment?
There is a problem with the Gandhis at the moment. What the UP, if you have read the letter by those 4 or 5 leaders, I know how many of them, they have a point. They say that, they are unapproachable, you can't really reach them, and it becomes very difficult to do any kind of politics, especially when you're in the opposition, if your leader is so aloof or so distant. So, although there is merit in some ways when Rahul Gandhi says that he's the only one who's attacking the Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the BJP, others are quiet. But if you remember the 7-hour-long discussion that the Congress Working Committee had the other day, the same issue came up, and there were some who thought that this is not the right strategy to follow because they thought that BJP should be criticized for its policies and the individual should not be targeted. So that's a difference of opinion.
It's a difference. Difference of opinion also has political convenience in all of it. I think that a lot of people realizing that on certain issues, right now is not the best time, politically astute time to be talking to Narendra Modi. I mean, you don't want to be talking to Narendra Modi on China right now. It doesn't make sense. But somebody thinks it makes sense. Satish Kumar Singh, change happens all the time. Now, the BJP went through the most dramatic change. I mean, where were we? I mean, hardly 6-7 years ago, LK Advani resigned from all party posts. I mean, huge things happened. Lots of churns happened within the BJP. You had a Margdarshak Mandal that was created. Lot of high drama happened. And the BJP got it right under Narendra Modi, and they've been successful since. The Congress is not getting it right for 6 years. Do we show some sympathy or do we write them off?
Well, I think they are writing themselves off themselves. Actually, Congress is a revolving door. The more it tries to change, the more it remains the same. And if you have a 10 Janpath hold of the party, if you are thinking that you will create some kind of situation within Congress, it is not possible. Either you go out and create situation or be here and be obedient and loyal. So that is where it is. It's more of an organizational whole. They don't have any party programs, actions, cadre, anything. So what happened is that some people, I think, why did this rebellion happen 23 letters? It's just the firework has just started. Let this organizational
so is the split coming?
Election come.
No, is a split coming? Is a split inevitable? And by split, I don't mean 3 or 4 people joining BJP. Is a split coming?
Yeah, I think so. I cannot rule it out. I cannot.
No, but who's weighty enough? Now, I'm asking very practical questions. Okay, between the Tharoor, the Azad, the Jitin, RPN, who is weighty enough to lead the split if it happens?
Who's answering?
Satish ji.
Well, if it is going to be a split, then I think it will be a 2-3 splinter groups. It cannot be that some leader is chosen as a leader and is hailed as a leader. What will happen is, before it also has happened, that if you go out, you create your own Congress, your own Samajwadi or whatever party, and then, then you will have other splinter group that will see in action.
Okay, not the first time. Okay, many people say that Rajiv also faced great difficulties. The Congress has split so many times, and look, it's still here. Sumit Peer, is it in the interest of the BJP? It would almost seem that the way the Congress is, the status quo keep maintained because it seemed complete chaos. Nobody knows what the heck is going on. And if a split actually happened, that a lot of these splinter parties, in 1 or 2 seats each, suddenly could become players, which would be a nuisance in UP.
I think, Rishabh, what you're right is that as long as Congress is what it is right now, because you see, if you look at Congress, it's a star architecture, it's a hub and spoke model. The Gandhi family is the hub in which all the spokes connect. There is practically impossible to take that hub out. If you only take it out, you have to move. You cannot change the hub. It will not function. The source code is written like that. So the taking Gandhis out is impossible within Congress. It has never happened in the last 50 years. And whenever it has happened, it has never succeeded. So that game is out. As far as BJP is concerned, it is best for BJP. The Congress remains the way it is right now because the amount of vote share it takes, and it kind of insulates that BJP will win all the time because 20-22% of the national vote share will ensure there's a victory for BJP in most of the time. But if these groups start moving out and they start making one kind of a AAP party, an Aam Aadmi party kind of a combination, they can start controlling the pockets of influence, which is not a good news for BJP. So as long as they're under the umbrella of Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi, they will continue to do what they are. They'll
okay, so we are basically saying as two people, three people party. Okay, Deshratan Nigam, let's face it, in the current situation in the Congress party, okay, no way in heck are they putting up any challenge to the BJP, let alone Narendra Modi's BJP, even in 2024. I know a week is a long time in politics, but I can't see any summation because I've seen this happening for 6 years now. 2013, Rahul Gandhi was coming, and we are in 2020 now. Is it going to fall apart?
See, the fact is, the only glue that the Congress is the Sonia family. There is nothing more to it, and those who have merit are sidelined and psychophancy is promoted. That is the basic. It's like an inverted pyramid, which has a very narrow base now, and a top-heavy organization which is likely to fall in its own gravity.
No, but is it happening? We've been having this conversation for a long period of time. Many people have written the Gandhi family. Many people wrote Rajiv out also, that he's never done politics, he doesn't understand it, but he managed.
See, the fact is, even if it splits, those who are going to split do not have a mass base. So one thing that is very important, they can be, game spoiler for the Congress candidates wherever they, even if they split and put up their own candidates. That
no, but
they can do,
let me put the opposite, that actually if you free these guys, maybe in 1 or 2 seats, they will have fire in their bellies to prove a point and win a seat for themselves, and that nuisance value could be worse damage for the BJP than a united Congress.
See, the fact is, as I told you, they don't have a mass base. They are armchair intellectuals. Most of these people, look at, for example, they have appointed somebody called Salman Khurshid. Can he win elections? No. And the other 23, if I look at them, they have been, riding a wave at a particular time, or the misdeeds or the, wrong strategies of the BJP.
Okay, I'll be fair. A Tharoor has stood up against an anti-Congress wave or a pro-Modi wave a couple of times. Khurshid has won election in the past, maybe today, maybe not, in a UP under Narendra Modi. So again, a very practical question, Sanjay Kapoor. Is this still a hypothetical conversation that is going on in circles? Can these people, whether it's 20, 23, 30, 40, 9 more, 20 more, 100 more, can they have independent futures outside the Congress?
I normally don't agree with Mr. Deshratan Nigam in many talks, but I have to agree with him that most of the leaders out of the 23, save for Dipinder Singh Hooda, have no base. So I think the Gandhi family recognizes that these people are there who are, whatever weight they have got is because of their proximity to the Gandhi family. And without them, without the kind of power they generate because of the proximity, they would be useless. That recognition, I think the Gandhis have. And Rahul Gandhi has shown a pathological dislike. I mean, you have to see how he spoke with them during the seminar and even the earlier CWC or a party meeting that he had, that, these people are just corrupt and they are taking advantage of their proximity and they don't deliver. He also made suggestions that, they are playing footsie with the BJP. I mean, if you remember, Jitin Prasad, who is also a signatory, was on the threshold of joining BJP. And I'm sure if the BJP leadership allows, there would be many who would be willing to cross over. So, there is a certain doubt and lack of trust.
But Sanjay Kapoor, how much of that is the same kind of Sachin Pirate logic, that the reason that these people are flirting elsewhere or with other options is because there has been a vacuum of leadership. There has been
that is not the issue. The Congress has lost 2 elections in a row, and many of them are used to being in power all this while. Even now, if you look at many congressmen, they behave as if they're still in power. So staying away for them and to do opposition politics doesn't come easy to them. I mean, they're most reluctant to step out and campaign like they would like to do if you are in opposition. So there is a problem in the way the Congress is a party of the government. All these years, 60, 70 years, the party of the government.
Okay.
And when they have to, work, they don't have many Lalu, Ajay Kumar Lalu, the UPCC chief in many other states. Most of them, I think, are most comfortable. They have their little nest of. That they
Okay,
have
so is
created.
it damn squib clearing out the trash? Satish Kumar Singh is actually Rahul Gandhi finally showing some gumption to clear out the trash. Is that the logic to be applied here?
Yes, he has been trying, and I think when he stepped down as Congress president, he was of the view that nobody took the responsibility, only him taking the responsibility. Rishabh, there is a precedent. If you say that the people who are rebelling in Congress doesn't have a future, it can have a many spin. You see this Sharad Pawar and the Mamata, after coming out of Congress, they created their own constituency. And Congress is also known for engineering its split within the party. Mrs. Gandhi was a rebel in 1969. Mrs. Gandhi was a rebel in 69 at the time of Narasimha Rao also. We know that the 10 Janpad loyalists floated 2 or 3 different Congress parties. So nothing is on the trajectory, but as you rightly said, I think Rahul Gandhi is showing his muscle in his own way if he has.
Okay, is he showing muscle? Deshratan Nigam. Now, when the BJP does it, it becomes a species of great politicians' logic. Your Rajya Sabha election in Karnataka was a great example. Complete fresh faces. A lot of the senior people that, let's face it, we in the media are used to and were expecting to get Rajya Sabha nominations, did not get them. We had fresh faces, and I was told the logic was that people who've been working harder should feel that if they work hard, they can rise to the top, that the top is not always dominated for 20, 30 years by the same people. So when the BJP does it, it's seen as a great achievement, a great democratic party. Now the Congress is trying to get fresh faces. Why should we deride them?
See, I am not deriding, but the fact remains what is a virtue for BJP may not be a virtue for the Congress. BJP has a complete structure right from the grassroots level to the top without giving, that inheritance any criteria. You have to make your place. Even if it is Rajnath Singh, he had to contest MLA's elections and he had to come through the entire process. There is no parachute landing. Here everybody knows that if you have to rise, you have to be at the mercy of the Sonia and family. You have to be a sycophant. So what I feel is one set of sycophants being replaced by another set of sycophants out here in order to consolidate their own position.
Okay.
So the problem with the Congress today is policy paralysis, not out these changes. These changes would always remain cosmetic in nature.
Okay, all right. So let me take that into a practical example. Sanjay Kapoor, before I get Sumit back into this conversation, Sanjay Kapoor, the argument Deshratan Nigam is making is you are replacing one set of sycophants with another set of sycophants. It changes nothing. The real winners of people who can deliver votes, who are they? Amarinder, Siddaramaiah, can they still deliver votes for the Congress party? Do we write off Gehlot and Kamal Nath? They did win elections, whether we like it or not.
Rishabh, you must recognize this fact is never actually brought up in any kind of analysis which takes place at the macro level. Congress won about 8 assembly elections, and although they lost it because the government was pulled down by the BJP and their enormous resources, and there were new tensions that were created in the leadership. But the fact is, electorally they won, whether it was in Madhya Pradesh, whether it was in Karnataka, or wherever for that matter. So, having said that, there is a certain way Congress conducts itself. I mean, it's a party where the Gandhis are the most important leader. Everybody revolves around that.
But Sanjay Kapoor, I'm saying if the assumption is being made that these are dead weights,
two distinct parties.
Sanjay Kapoor, if the assumption is being made
for many years.
Okay, Sanjay Kapoor, in practical terms, the BJP came up with a formula. The formula was, it might be a convenient formula that suited a particular time, that 75 plus, please retire. Okay, it was a formula. The formula was, we don't want to have people who are children of people. It might be convenient, but it's a formula. What should be the Congress formula? Do we know who the deadweights are and who are the electoral winners? I'm trying to, obviously, Amarinder has won. Siddaramaiah performed reasonably well. Gehlot, like it or not, won. You give some credit to Sachin, but at least 70% credit Gehlot has to take. Kamal Nath, again, like it or not, he and Digvijay managed to pull off something. Then do these become the new stars again?
Rishabh, you must remember that in 2014, Congress got 44 seats. The entire leadership was decimated.
Yeah.
Subsequently, in 2019, they won 51 seats. So we are not talking about somebody who was a vote gatherer, well, because I think Mr. Modi and the BJP and what they were able to create a wave where it didn't really count. You know, who was, whether you are old or young or whatever, they just
It didn't matter,
lost.
yes. People
You know,
voting
it didn't
BJP.
really matter.
correct.
So there was some correction in the assembly level than whatever happened, because that's how Indian democracy works. And Congress had Kamraj plan many years ago. All the old people had gone away. So when Rahul Gandhi is bringing in, he's trying to actually purge of all these elements. You dislike him or do whatever, but the fact of the matter is that
Okay.
at the moment he is the national leader for Congress.
Okay, so it boils
Whether
down.
anybody.
Okay, whether you like him or dislike him, the Congress has had complicated transitions of power. Rajiv Gandhi's entry into politics was complicated. Indira Gandhi's entry into politics was complicated. Sonia Gandhi's entry into politics was complicated. And Rahul Gandhi has been complicated for the past 7 years, to put it politely. Sumit
But he
Peer,
remains a leader.
can the Congress run without Rahul Gandhi? Do they have an option? And Priyanka Gandhi is not the option. Priyanka and Rahul are very close. This misnomer needs to come to a conclusion. They are very close. Can it run without Rahul?
I think, Rishabh, it will be oxymoronic to think that the Gandhis and the Parivar and the Congress are all different entities. They are one simple identity. Congress is equal to Gandhis, Gandhi is equal to the Parivar. So they are one merged identity. You cannot separate them out. It's like a structure where the weight of the roof is taken by the load-bearing walls. They are the load-bearing walls. You separate them out. Congress does not function. So it's a hub and spoke model. You have to move out of Congress, try your luck and do something. But within Congress, the only difference is Rajiv Gandhi got his own set of people, Sonia ji got his own set of people, Rahul Gandhi will get his own set of people, Indira Gandhi had his own set of people. Look at the set of people like Haksar, DP, where are they today? They are nowhere in the picture.
Every
So
single political party in this
what people
country,
change.
other than the communists, every single political party in this country, other than the communists, were offshoots of the Congress party in our history. Many of them were very successful in the state level. But you can look at the TMC now, which is a very recent formulation. Sharad Pawar's NCP is a recent, in terms of recent formulations. But none of them could go around and create a national party. Only one party after post-JP, that a party of the BJP could be created, that in the position today it is in, no matter what you throw at it. So a lot of people owe their particular position and seats in Assembly or the Lok Sabha to Narendra Modi. They would not have won had it not been Narendra Modi aspiring to become Prime Minister. This is also a truism. This chapter is not closed. It won't be closed anytime soon. It's only hubris if you fail. But you failed once, you failed twice. How many times can you fail? Great political comebacks have been even done by Indira Gandhi. They can be done. But there is a shelf life. I don't know what that shelf life is in politics anymore.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.